bad gods, man. Look at these 4 concrete ghosts. Look at them. Did you look at them? Good. If you want to understand the rise and fall of Beirut, you gotta start with these haunting buildings, which have one thing in common. They never had the chance to fulfill their original purpose. Once you look into them, they reveal dramatic stories of the past, present and future of the city. You know, over the years, Beirut has had multiple plastic surgeries gone wrong, but this city isn't stupid enough to forget about the beauty it once possessed. And in some dystopian way, it still is beautiful. But before I tell you why, let's put all of this into some context, shall we? Sometime in the past, when Beirut was just fine. Welcome to the 60s. The French have finally left Lebanon the fuck alone. Beirut is the most prosperous city in the whole Middle East, another Paris of some kind. Hotels shoot out of the arid ground like crazy, the nightlife is sweet, the beaches are crowded, the palms are swaying in the soft breeze, the women are beautiful, the men are handsome. Everybody has nice cars, and even though Christian Maronites, Sunnis, Shias, Druze, Orthodox, Catholics and Alevites are crammed together into one hell of a landscape, they seem to get along just fine enough to not want to kill each other. Beirut is diverse, interesting, peaceful, cool in a European way and warm in a Middle Eastern way. The perfect mix of capitalism and humanity, globalism and tradition. But for some reason, it just didn't last. And this guy knows why.
Der Krieg im Prinzip hat mehrere Dimensionen. Also er hat diese religiöse Dimension. Es ist nicht wirklich religiös, sondern eher so eine Machtaufteilung zwischen den Konfessionen.
Stop. No. Hold it right there. Explaining the Lebanese civil war is a gargantuan undertaking of such monumental complexity. I'm not even gonna attempt it. It would just go way beyond the scope of the point I'm trying to make here. Even just summarizing it takes an understanding fostered by months of research. Well, maybe in the next episode. For now, just know that the abandonment of these 4 is closely related to the war. This is Beirut's infamous hotel district. A relatively small area that made up a significant amount of Lebanon's GDP back in the day. A playground for celebrities, politicians, journalists, diplomats and spies. The place where Lebanon's golden age started and ended. Saint-Georges is the first hotel to enter the story. For a good 4 decades, this French-built celebrity cesspool was one of the most prestigious hotels on the Mediterranean. Some called it a revolving door for globe-dictating information. The market was set, and many other tycoons deemed it reasonable to build their huge-ass luxury hotels just down the road. Like this enormous motherfucker.
It's very huge. One of the most notorious buildings for the Civil War.
Holiday Inn hotels are #1 in the world with people-pleasing standards.
Everything's perfect.
And the most popular locations at resorts throughout the world, right where you can do the things you want to do.
Wherever you go in this whole big traveling world.
We want to make you comfortable.
Holiday Inn is #1 in people please.
Every Holiday Inn, the best surprise is no surprise.
Another giant tomb in the middle of the city like an unresolved scar.
The Holiday Inn was opened in 1973 or 1974.
A year which marked the height of Lebanon's economic boom. 1 year later there was another boom. Lots of booms. Boom to end all booms. Boom, boom, boom. Well, war basically. The hotel had 400 guest rooms, a revolving restaurant on top, cinemas, offices, supermarkets, and in October 1975 it also got a war zone.
Yes, in 1976 there was a lot of fighting to take control of the hotel area. that this building is also a very strategic building.
Which was inevitable because it stood right on the street that became the front line, like any other fucking luxury hotel. In a conflict that lasted almost half a year, known as the Battle of the Hotels, over 25,000 fighters from pro-Palestinian and Christian militias fought for control of a group of towering hotels, including the Holiday Inn. But the Holiday Inn, more than any other building, was sought after for the symbolic meaning of victory for whoever ended up controlling it. The battle unfolded room by room, floor by floor, staircase by staircase. Nobody, not even the Lebanese or the journalists, could tell you who was winning or losing. And in the end, I guess both won, or at least that's what Wikipedia says. But who cares anyway? The only thing that really matters is the fact that the final battle for the Holiday Inn led to the division between East and West Beirut, Christians and Muslims. Well, at least that's the simplified version. But this border stayed in place for the next 15 years and eventually became a lush and beautiful green strip of abandoned hope. The Green Line. It's a dead tower. Actually, it was never born. It's also where progress ended and the war started. The border between people, districts and confessions.
During the war, it was among the highest buildings, so whoever controlled this building had control over Beirut skies. There was even militias and armies that used the rooftop to shoot like artillery.
Back in the early 70s, Beirut didn't really have any skyscrapers. So the Murr Tower was supposed to be the pioneering high-rise project with its 42 impressive stories. Then the war came and all construction stopped at once. So the tower never had the chance to be populated. No one ever lived in that thing, except snipers. Oh, this thing is sniper heaven. Whoever controlled it had a formidable view on both West and East Beirut. It was bombed many times and it's still standing. Many promises were made to do something with it, but none of them were kept. Ever since the war finished, the face of the tower has remained the same, which means that it stands tall for all to see, as a dramatic reminder of the civil war. Actually, that's not quite true, because in 2018 someone finally got the right idea and put the tower out of its misery. A street artist named Jad El-Khoury who transformed the Tower of Bitterness into the Tower of Wind.
I used fabrics that we see on the balconies of poor neighborhoods.
Man, is it just me or does it now look like it's dancing? I like to believe it's calling out for the city to start its long-awaited healing process, which, to be frank, is overdue.
I also got a message from someone who was Palestinian. Her dad was almost thrown from the roof of this building, and she couldn't ever look at this tower. And for the first time, she looks at it and smiles.
Okay, now before we leave the hotel district, let me tell you one more story about the Saint-Georges.
Like the way the city was rebuilt, it was rebuilt in a way that it didn't take into consideration the old urban picture of the city or the old urban infrastructure, even though there had been plans to rebuild it similar to the way it used to be, because the structure was still there. But the ones who were responsible of rebuilding it had other plans in mind.
Time jump to 2005, when this guy got assassinated.
The Syrian helped so much.
His name is Rafiq Hariri, the guy whose name they gave to the Beirut airport. As you can see, he was the prime minister. Until someone set off a car bomb right next to him, which killed him and 23 other people right in front of the Saint-Georges. This Hariri guy loved construction. He became filthy rich by making it big in Saudi construction in the 70s, which as a Sunni got him into being closely affiliated with the Saudi royals. Already during the civil war, he started investing a lot into the reconstruction of Beirut city center with his company Solidaire, which sounds great at first, until he realized he kinda messed it up and gentrified the place.
As a private company with a city-making mission, Solidaire has revived the spirit of Beirut. Resilient, creative, forward-looking, yet proud of its heritage. Business-minded, but also fun-loving.
Yeah, right.
Welcoming and keen on its guests' comfort and well-being. Solidaire, developing the finest city center in the Middle East.
That's all bullshit, man. Take the Beirut souks as an example. Before the war, this used to be a mazy marketplace of bustling culture and commerce. These days, it's just like any other characterless shopping mall of the 21st fucking century. Lifeless, loveless, inauthentic, disposable. He committed a similar crime against the Saint-Georges. Out of spite against the owner of the hotel, he transformed the nice overcrowded beachfront into a depressing concrete breakwater, which makes no sense to me. Anyway, this Hariri guy was kind of endeared by a lot of folks in Lebanon. Because another thing he helped construct was the peace agreement to end the damn civil war in 1990.
For me, I believe in peace.
After that, he basically became the biggest player in Lebanese politics. Until someone killed him dead, and a massive part of the country blamed and erupted against the Syrians, forcing them to end their 3 decades-long presence in Lebanon. It seems like Hariri had some false friends. Geopolitics, man. It's just one big confusing clusterfuck of old men pretending like they're friends. Although a special tribunal was formed to step around in a political minefield and identify the culprits in the process, it is still not quite clear who did it. A lot is pointing towards the Shiite party Hezbollah, who not only in this case seem to be backed by Syria and Iran. But anyway, just wanted to tell you about Hariri. It was almost impossible to leave him out the story. And now let's move on to a building he luckily didn't touch. It's so fucking ugly that it's beautiful. A pearl of brutalist architecture. Truly unique and unrepeatable. I fell in love with that thing the first time I saw it. Pure concrete porn. Should have been a cinema. Part of the first mall in the Middle East back in the 70s, but never was, cause you know why? Unfulfilled promises and broken dreams, that's why. And the war, of course. Somehow that concrete egg survived 15 years of heavy weather. Not even Hariri tried to touch it with his construction hands. But like geological sediments, the egg reflects the circumstances of the many stormy years it has witnessed. Thoroughly looking down on the Martyr Square, which was vibrant in the 60s and 70s, but now is just a neglected parking lot, slap bang in the middle of the city. But then in 2019, finally the people got fed up and the egg was repurposed into a temple of resistance. I've never been to a place that reeks of revolution like this one. The revolution was sparked by an ingenious decision by the government to introduce a tax on the usage of WhatsApp. It sounds stupid because it is. This created a really fertile ground for the Lebanese to be even more pissed off than they already were.
Some days before the revolution there have been huge forest burnings, fires. And it has been discovered basically that the Lebanese state was not able to extinguish these fires because the necessary equipment was not maintained. And just several days after this huge burnings, the minister of the telecommunication decided a fee or a tax on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is mostly used among Lebanese to communicate since casual services, phone services don't work. And this was like the trigger that made people all of a sudden go to the streets and demonstrate. And then everyone joined, of course, young people, different movements. It was a very, very huge segment of the population, different social backgrounds that demonstrated. But at the beginning, mostly young people.
The WhatsApp tax was just the last straw that triggered the whole country to unite against the government. And this is no easy feat, because as I already mentioned, Lebanon is really fucking diverse. which is made painfully obvious when you look at how the government is constructed. The sectarian nature of the system demands the president to be a Maronite Christian, the prime minister to be a Sunni Muslim, the speaker of parliament a Shiite Muslim. Even though on paper this sounds fair, it has proved to not work at all. It is also obvious that the young and educated do not buy into the whole confessional way of thinking. They have no trust in anyone getting anything done in this country as long as this system stays in its shitty place. Within a few days of the revolution, they succeeded in getting Prime Minister Saad Hariri to step down.
I hereby announce my resignation as Prime Minister from the Lebanese government, knowing that the will of the Lebanese is stronger.
Yep, that's the son of our favorite gentrificator. Just like Lebanon's political system, the egg suffers from instability. But the desperate state of things has made the Lebanese fearless. It was time to take back public space and tear down fences. The occupation had begun. The egg became a spectator of the revolution and a shelter for the revolutionists. But not only that, it also became a social space and a dance floor of sorts. Who said that revolutions always have to be grim and violent? I guess the French said that. I truly believe that the Lebanese must be the happiest depressed people in the world. I mean, look at this. Only they could turn rage fueled by generations of betrayal into something so upbeat. Every night during the occupation there was concerts, public lectures, exhibitions, open mics, film screenings and raves. Instead of resorting to despair, the Lebanese spirit brought up a celebration of hope. But unfortunately, as you already know, the revolution only condensed into a bigger crisis.
شو ناطر يا شعب اللبناني؟ تنزل تاخد حقك بإيدك من هالعصابة اللي حاكمة، عصابة المافيا، عصابة الحرامية المجرمين. وين حقوق الإنسان؟ بلد لا في كهرباء ولا في مي ولا في شي نهائيا، متحلل وهن قاعدين بقصورهم ولا شايفين هالشعب، شايفيننا غنم ولاد الحرام، ما رح نسكت عن جناح عمرنا.
Other than total destruction, the Lebanese lira spiraled into hellish inflation while the government took the hard-earned money of all of their citizens. There's no public healthcare, medication, safe running water, but instead we got a million Syrian refugees, stateless Palestinians, wildfires, Hezbollah, Israel as a neighbor, so many fucking problems you don't even know where to start.
Culmination of pigeon shit.
And then there's this building, our last concrete corpse for the day. L'Électricité du Liban. Not again.
Electricity is all over the place tonight.
Electricity in the air.
Electricity is all over the place tonight.
Electricity in the air.
We used to have electricity for an hour daily. Now it is totally cut. We are spending our time outside our homes so our children can have fun.
There's been no electricity in Beirut since yesterday, and private generators are too expensive. How can we survive?
Electricity has always been a problem and has never been functioning after the war.
Sad but true. Blackouts are frequent. And the wires are a goddamn mess. Lebanon's electricity infrastructure has been neglected for years, and the outcomes are visible to the naked eye.
One of the main reasons of corruption and also debt in Lebanon, it's said to be that almost $2 billion per year account only for the electricity problem, because they were not able to find a solution to have like 24 hours of electricity in Lebanon.
So the opportunist generator mafia put these giant grey blocks in place to provide steady energy. Heaving away, these ugly things swallow fuel that the average Lebanese can barely afford. You have something to say about generators?
Generators are a substitute for government electricity.
Only a few years ago, people used to supplement their state energy with diesel generators, but
now it has completely changed. Now there's like between 2 to 4 hours government electricity and the rest is like covered by generators, but not 24 hours, of course. There is kind of a generator mafia, even though I don't know the names by heart or I don't know the details, but it's sad that those who work in the government who prevent any solution for having electricity are also those who kind of offer these generators because they can earn a lot of money.
And in front of it, even well before the explosion, there was actually the writing, the name of the Électricité Liban, where not all of the letters were lightened.
Yeah. So this building is basically very emblematic for the whole problem Lebanon has with electricity in general.
In 2022, after having suffered through the explosion, all of the political turmoil, the revolution, it got a little bit worse and the whole country went black because the 2 biggest power stations were shut down for a day because guess what? There was no fuel to fuel them. And then they had to import all that shit. Throughout its 5,000-year history, Beirut has been destroyed 7 fucking times. Which means that every 700 years or so the city gets an unwanted makeover. And it does seem like the rate is getting faster these days. There's plenty of reason to believe that in 10 years Beirut will look plenty different from now. If for better or for worse, no one can say really. The only thing that's sure as hell is that things will change. Because the way it's going right now, it can't stay.
Interesting.